Why groceries will continue to skyrocket. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, and I want to talk about this article from news.com.au highlighting just groceries getting more and more expensive. Now, for those of you that have been asking, we're okay with all of the flooding here in Brisbane. There's a bit of overland flow in our area, not too much of an issue. Infrastructure's been built to deal with that since 74, so it just means it's a muddy mess everywhere, guys. Had a bit of water coming in through the side of the house, in the studio here, and just made an emergency overflow relief valve in the side of my gutter. I got a hammer and bashed out the end of it. And hey, it works. It works. You know, you got to do what you got to do. Because I didn't want water getting onto any of my electronic equipment, because it backed up, went along the roof and went down and through all the walls. So the challenges of when you're doing renovations and you get a year's worth of rain in a few days. Other than that, you may hear some construction noise in the background. The Steelies are starting to bolt all of the PFCs to the underside of the house and adjusting it and massaging it. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. So let's have a look at this article, because the other day I went and decided to get the kids and myself some ice cream. To hell with the carnivore diet. I'm getting over a cough, so I'm grumpy. Wanted some ice cream. The kids wanted it too. I went to Coles, and well, nearly $100 later, I came back with just a few pieces of meat, some ice cream, and what was it? I think I got some salami and ham. It's just getting so expensive. It's just, $13 a kilo for mince beef. $13 a kilo. We need to be buying in bulk again. That's how we saved a lot of money. So let's have a look at this. Why your grocery bill will keep rising. And this is it. When they say, we jump over to the left here and have a look from, the CPI is 3.5% they're saying. 3.5%. Where is it? Alcohol and tobacco, food, 1.9. It doesn't feel like just a 1.9% increase for food. It feels a lot higher, particularly when you're eating a lot of meat. This is the problem. The healthier food you eat, the more expensive it gets. The cheap stuff is all the vegetable oil-filled crap in the middle of the aisles. And we're seeing now with supply and logistics issues, some of the shops are having trouble keeping up with all of the food, so rationing is returning again. And still, all the real meat's gone, but the fake meat bullshit's still there. There you go. We know it's never going to be a real disaster until people start eating the fake shit. Once that's gone, then we know we're really in trouble. So cost of fruit, vegetables to rise more after supermarkets warn of price hikes. The price of fruit and veg is predicted to stay high, with staff shortages and other issues continuing to cause pain for consumers. The cost of fresh fruit and vegetables is expected to remain high despite plentiful supplies of most products. According to the latest report from the Australian Department of Agriculture, Water and Environment, the increased costs of getting fresh produce to consumers is expected to keep prices high. The news will not be welcomed by many Australians who are struggling to stay on top of rising grocery bills as well as spiking petrol prices. Oh, don't even get me started about the cost of petrol, filling up the tank. You'd be a good $20, below $100, $80, $70 sometimes. I remember I used to get away with $60. Now, you're lucky if you're under 100. Woolworths and Coles have already recently warned of more pain at the checkout as inflation continues to rise. And one supermarket giant grapples with a staff underpayment scandal. Well, that just seems to be the normal thing these days. Meanwhile, a shortage of workers due to the spread of the Omicron COVID variant has created supply chain challenges that continue to impact farms as well as distribution networks. The ABA's Agricultural Commodity Report from March said. Oh, isn't that quaint? Remember when we were still worried about COVID, before we got flooded, before we had war in Europe again? Oh boy, remember that? Wow. Large supermarkets in particular rely on long supply chains, with some fruit and vegetables traveling significant distances. The reduced workforce during summer has not only affected farm operations, but also disrupted the distribution networks of major supermarkets, with staffing shortages causing some fresh produce to be temporarily unavailable in grocery aisles, the report said. The spread of Omicron earlier this year meant many truck drivers had to isolate, leading to food shortages in some supermarkets. Smaller greengrocers, which tend to source their produce from multiple suppliers and from local farms, have been less impacted by the supply chain disruptions, but they are not immune to staffing shortages. Farms have also grappled with worker shortages due to the pandemic, despite many producers offering higher wages for fruit pickers. The return of backpackers is expected to improve this eventually, but if travelers are slow to return, this could push prices up even more. There remains a risk that a more staggered return of working holiday makers could constrain labour supplies further than anticipated, resulting in a scenario whereby higher labour costs could place a greater upward pressure on farm gate prices, the report said. Fortunately, the production of most fruit and vegetables over summer and autumn is expected to be plentiful, supported by favourable seasonal conditions and low water prices. Despite these issues, Australia is looking at a bumper year for farmers. Minister for Agriculture in Northern Australia, David Littleproud, said the gross value of Australia's agricultural production, including fisheries and forestries, is forecast to be a record-breaking $86.8 billion in 21-22. Exports are expected to top a record $64 billion. ABAs are predicting that Australia's production will increase across most livestock and crop commodities. This year will be our largest total volume of agricultural commodities ever, Mr. Littleproud said. That's an enormous effort in the face of some of the biggest challenges Australian agriculture has faced, from fire, mouse plagues, flood, drought, COVID-19. Remember the bushfires, guys, when that was the big thing? And then it was the plagues of mice. I forgot all about that. Now we've got fire and drought and COVID-19. What else can happen this year? We've got war in Europe. Hey, maybe war in Asia. Balance it out. Despite all of this, Australian farmers have simply got on with the job and continue to produce the best food and fibre in the world. So let's have a bit of a talk about this, guys. Now, the main issue is here, this is going to impact people's cost of living, just simply buying fruit and vegetables. It's also going to affect their meat products and all their general groceries, just because petrol is getting more expensive. It's going to make day-to-day living tougher, and that's going to start to flow through to the rest of the economy. Have you noticed it, everyone? Are you worried about inflation going even higher, particularly with energy issues around the world? It's definitely something to keep an eye on and to prepare for. I tell you, I'm noticing it. It's frustrating. We need to get back into this place, get the big freezer running and buy in bulk again, just to get the costs down and to save some money. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Thank you all for watching this episode of Heise Says. And if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon, sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. Take care, guys. Have a great day. And I will point you to, I don't know what video I'll point you to. I'll point you to a video there. I'll randomly pick one. We're doing okay. We're slowly recovering from this cough that we've had. And people who've been insinuating it's COVID, no, it's not. It's just a normal, old, boring illness. But it's frustrating because with the coughing, I can't record as much.